The learning objective of the topic is represent the electron configuration of an element or ions of an element using the Aufbau principle. So we have already discussed about the Aufbau principle in part 1. In this video, I'll be talking more about electron configuration of element as well as ions. So this is topic 1.5, atomic structure and electron configuration, part 2. And this is taken from AP Chemistry College Board. First of all, what is electronic configuration or electron configuration? So electron configuration is the distribution of electrons into different shells, subshells and orbitals in an atom. If you want to know more about shells, subshells and orbitals, you can watch the part 1 of this same topic. So we have discussed some rules in the part 1 also, like Pauli's principle, then Hund's rule and Aufbau principle. So we need to follow those rules to apply the electronic configuration for atoms as well as ions. So what we saw in Aufbau principle is we write the orbitals like 1s, then 2s, 2p, 3s, 3p, 3d, and then we draw arrows like this to remember that which orbital would be coming first and then which would be coming second. So this is arranged according to those energies. You can see here that first 1s is there, then 2s, then 2p. 2p has further 3 orbitals. This also we saw in the part 1, that why is it so. Then 3s, 3p, then 4s, then 3d, like this. It goes on and increasing according to their energies. So what we do, why we use this in electron configuration? Let's see that. So whenever we start filling up these orbitals with the electrons, what we do is we first fill the 1s and then 2s and then 2p. So we start filling the orbitals according to their energies. The one which has the lowest energy is filled first and then the higher energy orbitals are filled after that. Let's see some examples. The first example which we will see here is hydrogen. Hydrogen has atomic number 1, which means that number of electrons in hydrogen is 1. So when we will start filling the orbitals with these electrons, we will start from the lowest orbital, which is 1s. So the first electron will come in 1s. So the electronic configuration of hydrogen would be 1s1. 1 superscript because it has 1 electron, and this 1s means the orbital is 1s. Next comes the helium. Helium has atomic number of 2. It means that number of electrons in helium is 2. Now what we will do is each orbital can have maximum of 2 electrons and both the electrons will have opposite spin. So the first electron will come here and the second electron will come here. So the electronic configuration of helium would be 1s2. 2 because 2 electrons are present in 1s orbital. Now let's talk about lithium. Lithium has atomic number of 3, which means that again it has 3 electrons. So it will have 2 electrons in 1s and the third electron will go in 2s and not in any other orbital, because the next orbital having the higher energy than 1s is 2s. So the electron configuration of lithium would be 1s2, 2s1. So this is the electronic configuration of lithium. Now let's talk about nitrogen. Nitrogen has atomic number of 7. So the 7 electrons will be accommodated as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now what we did is 1s and 2s orbitals are completely filled. So we will move to the 2p orbital. So 2p orbital has 3 orbitals further. So it means that each orbital will have 1 electron each. We will not start pairing. These are again according to the rules which we did in part 1. We will start putting 1 electron each in the orbitals and then we will start pairing up the electrons. So first of all, the electron configuration of nitrogen would be 1s2, 2s2, 2p3. Now talking about oxygen, it has atomic number of 8. It means that it has 8 electrons. So 1s2, So this makes 4 electron, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So the electron configuration would be 1s2, 2s2, 2p4. So you saw here that first of all each electron is put in the orbital of 2p and then the pairing started. So like this we do for all the atoms which are present in the periodic table, all the elements which are present in the periodic table. So you can see here some of the initial elements which are present in periodic table. Some of these I already did. So hydrogen, helium, lithium I already did. So you can see that how the electrons are arranged in different orbitals for different elements. In neon you can see that all the orbitals are filled up. So this is the you can say a characteristic for the noble gases. Neon is one of the noble gas and it has fully filled orbitals. Now, but there are some of the exceptions which we see in the electronic configurations for different elements. For example, if we talk about chromium, chromium has atomic number of 24. So 24 electrons. So let's start filling up the orbitals. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Now 18 electrons are already filled up. Now left are 6 electrons. So what we do is 4s will have 1 electron and rest 5 electrons will come in 3d orbitals. It will not be like 4s orbital we will fill up and 3d will have 4 electrons. This is because the 4s and 3d both are half filled, because 4s can accommodate maximum of 2 electrons, and here you can see that it has 1 electron here. And if we are talking about 3d can have maximum of 10 electrons, and here for chromium it has 5 electrons. So it means that 4s and 3d both are half filled, and the half filled as well as fully filled orbitals are the most stable orbitals. So that is why for chromium we didn't write the 4s2 3d4. So let's write the electronic configuration. So it is 1s2 2s2 2p6 3s2 3p6 4s1 3d5. It should have been 4s2 3d4, but this one is wrong. It's here 4s1 3d5 because both the orbitals are half filled, and that is why it is more stable configuration. Other exceptions which we can see in periodic table are copper, molybdenum, ruthenium, rhodium, palladium and many more transition metals. So the electronic configurations of the exceptions are not there in the AP chemistry syllabus. So it is just for the information that there are some exceptions also for the electronic configuration in the periodic table. Now let's see what are core electrons and what are valence electrons. So when we write for the sodium, sodium has atomic number of 11. It means that it has 11 electrons. So when we write the electronic configuration for sodium, it is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1. So the outermost orbital has the valence electrons. The electrons which are present in the outermost orbital is the valence electron, and the inner electrons are called the core electrons. So this electronic configuration can also be written as neon 3s1 because this purple part is the electronic configuration of neon. So we can write the noble gases in the square brackets, and then we can write the rest of the electronic configurations as it is written here. So for lithium you can write it as helium 2s1, and for sodium you can write it as neon 3s1. So let's see one example. What is the electron configuration and orbital diagram for a phosphorus atom? what are the 4 quantum numbers for the last electron added. If we are talking about phosphorus, phosphorus has 15 electrons. So we will arrange those electrons in the orbitals. So these orbitals, when they are written like this, it is called as an orbital diagram. So by filling up the orbitals, we get the configuration as 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p3. So the last electron is present in 3p orbitals. We need to write the quantum number for the last electron added. So if we write the quantum number for this last electron, it would be n3, because this 3 is the shell. Then L is equal to 1 because it is p orbital, so it is p is 1. Then ml is the magnetic quantum number, so it would be -1, 0 and +1, because the ml ranges from -L to +L. And then ms would be ±12, that is spin quantum number would be ±12. If you want to know more about the quantum numbers, you can again watch the part 1 of this topic, and you will get a lot of idea about the quantum numbers and how to write those. Now, if we are talking about ions, as the electronic configuration of ions is same as that we did for atoms, but the thing is we need to see the charges which are present on the ions. If we are talking about the positive ions, it means they are the cations, and they are formed by removing the electrons from the atoms. For example, if we talk about sodium here, sodium has electronic configuration of 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1. And if we are talking about sodium positive ion, so one electron is removed from the outermost shell. So we are left with 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, and the 3s electron has been taken out. So if we compare this electronic configuration of sodium ion with the neon, you would see that it is exactly same. So it means that they both have same number of electrons, and that is why they are called isoelectronic, as they have same number of electrons but they have different number of protons, and one of them is charged. Now let's see for the chlorine. Chlorine, we are talking about negative ions now. Negative ions are also called as anions, and they are formed by adding the electrons to the atoms. It means that in chlorine, if the electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p5, and we want to make chloride ion, that is Cl negative, then one electron has been added to the outermost shell, which is 3p. So it becomes 3p6. So now the electronic configuration becomes 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6. Now again you will see that this electronic configuration is same as that in argon. So again these both are isoelectronic, but they have different number of protons. Now let's talk about more about ions. Now if I'm talking about aluminium, it is neon 3s2, 3p1. If I take out one electron from this aluminium, it would be going out from 3p orbital, and we will be left with neon 3s2. Now again aluminium 2 positive is formed. It means that again one electron has been removed. So we are left with neon 3s1. And if we again talk about aluminium 3 positive ion, then the electronic configuration is same as neon. So this again are the isoelectronic moieties, and the number of protons is different in these two. Now when the positive ions are formed for transition metals, the 4s electrons are removed first. When we write the electronic configuration of for chromium, as we did before, it was argon 4s1 3d5. Now to make chromium 3 positive, we need to remove the 3 electrons, but they would not be removed from 3d orbital. First one electron would be removed from 4s orbital, and rest of the 2 electrons would be removed from 3d orbital. So we would be left with argon 3d3. So we need to keep this in mind, that for the transition metals, the ions are formed by removing the 4s electrons first, and then the 3d electrons are removed. Now let's talk about the Coulomb's law. We know that the electrons and protons are present in an atom. Protons are positively charged and electrons are negatively charged. So it means that they have some attraction between them. That is why the atom is present, because the nucleus, which is positively charged, is attracting the electrons towards them. That is why the electrons are continuously rotating around the nucleus. So this attraction between the nucleus and the electron is called the Coulomb's force, and this force is equal to small k q1 q2 upon r square, where q1 and q2 are the charges of nucleus as well as electron, and the r is the distance between the charges. So Coulomb's law is used to calculate the force between the two charged particles. If we see here in this equation, we can see that force is directly proportional to the charges and inversely proportional to the distance between the charges. So it means that if the electron is closer to the nucleus, it means the R value is smaller. If R value is smaller, it means that force would be higher. So there will be stronger attractive force between the protons and the electrons. Now next is, if the nuclear charge is higher. Nuclear charge is higher, it means that Q value is high. Again, if Q value is high, it means that force would be again higher. So that is why charges, if more charge is there, then force would be high. If less distance is there, then force is again higher. So these two factors are basically affecting the Coulombic force, or you can say the attractive force between the nucleus as well as the electrons. Now let's talk about ionization energy. This ionization energy is related to the Coulomb's law, which we did in the previous slide. What is this ionization energy? The energy which is required to remove an electron from an atom or ion is called the ionization energy. Now, if we are talking about hydrogen atom, it has one proton and one electron. Now, this force of attraction, which I told, that Coulomb's force between the proton and the electron hold the atom together. As I told before also, that there is some attraction between the proton and electron. That is why the atom is held together. Now, if I remove this electron of hydrogen, then the energy which is required to remove this hydrogen is called the ionization energy. As there is some force of attraction between the proton and the electron, that is why we need a lot of energy to remove this electron, and that is ionization energy. And when we give that energy, we will be left with H positive. It means that one electron has been removed from the hydrogen atom. And this energy is basically the ionization energy. Now let's talk about helium. For helium, it has two protons and two electrons. Now there are two protons and two electrons here in the shell, and when we remove the first electron, it is called as the first ionization energy, and we are left with helium positive. Now from helium positive, if we remove again another electron, then we are left with helium 2 positive, and that is called second ionization energy, because we have removed the second electron. Now when you compare the values of first ionization energy and second ionization energy, you can see that second ionization energy is more than double of the first ionization energy. Now why is it so? This is because initially there were two protons and two electrons. So if we remove first electron from there, 24.6 electron volt is energy is needed. Now we are left with one electron and two protons. It means that there is strong force of attraction between the two protons and a single electron. Now to overcome that attraction, we need a lot more energy. So that is why the energy is quite higher, which is 54.4 electron volts. So the factors which affect the ionization energy are nuclear charge. It means that how many protons are there in the nucleus. Next is the distance. We saw that it is inversely proportional to distance. So how far is the electron from the nucleus? If it is far off, then we need lesser energy. If it is very close to the nucleus, then we need higher energy to remove that electron. Third factor which affects is shielding. We will be studying more about this term, which is shielding. It is actually due to the inner electrons, or you can say the core electrons that repel the outermost electrons. Now let's see more about what is this shielding. Now this is the nucleus. Nucleus has protons and the electrons are revolving around the nucleus. Now if there are core electrons and if there are outer electrons here, you will see that these electrons are actually attracted towards the nucleus because of opposite charges. Right, there is attraction between the nucleus and the outer electrons, but there is some repulsion also between the outer electron and the inner electron, which is this one. So these inner electrons actually leads to shielding. If we want to see the attraction between the nucleus and the outermost electron, we will see that these shielding or screening electrons would actually affect that attraction, because there will be repulsion between these electrons. Let's try to understand shielding more with some example. Let's compare hydrogen and lithium. If we are talking about hydrogen, we know that it has one proton and one electron. And for lithium, it has three protons and three electrons. Now, both hydrogen and lithium, they both have single electron in their outermost shell, as you can see here, right? But in contrast to that, lithium has two core electrons, as you can see here. There are two core electrons that are actually repelling the outermost electron, or you can say shielding the electron from the nucleus. That is why the term has come up, that shielding this, or you can say screening there, the attraction which should be there between the outer electrons and protons, that is not there because of these two electrons which are present in between this electron as well as the protons. So that is why the nuclear charge varies. Effectively, the outermost electron on lithium only feels the effect of one proton. Because of these two core electrons, this electron, the outermost electron, will not feel three protons, but it will only feel one proton. So this is called as effective nuclear charge. It means that how much nuclear charge it is actually feeling, that is the effective nuclear charge, and that can be calculated from number of protons minus number of core electrons. If we are talking about hydrogen, it is number of protons is 1, right? We can see here, and the number of core electrons is 0. So the effective nuclear charge for hydrogen is 1. But if we are talking about lithium, for these two electrons, the effective nuclear charge would be 3 minus 0. So it would be 3. But for this outer electron, it would be 3 minus 2. So it will come up to 1. So that is the effective nuclear charge. So as I already told, for these two electrons, the effective nuclear charge would be plus 3, and for this outer electron, it would be plus 1. So these ionization energy as well as shielding, these factors actually affect the size of the atom, which we will be studying more in the periodic trends, or you can say the next to next topic which we will be studying. So the learning objective of this topic was represent the electron configuration of an element or ions of an element using the Aufbau principle. In the part 1, I told you what is Aufbau principle. In this part, I told you how to write the electron configuration of element as well as ions of the element. using the principles which we did in the part 1. I hope the topic is totally clear to everyone. Please like and subscribe to the channel Log IOTA and press the bell icon